is he? Okay. This might take a few tries. I don't know. All right. Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. My name is Nika. You can call me Neek or Sid, whichever you prefer. This is the first time that I'm getting on social media to record this video, to record my experience. Hold on, I'm sorry, a little trapped. But yeah, this is the first time of me kind of going public in this type of video. Forgive me if this is like all over the place. Forgive me if I'm saying and a lot, because I'm not used to really getting in front of the camera like this. So and I'm gonna be looking at my laptop to kind of guide me through this. So please bear with me. If this is your first time tuning in to any of my, or plan to tune in to any of my videos, welcome. If you know me in real life, hey y'all. For those of you that actually know me in real life, you may know, you probably know of my story. For those of you that are close to me in my real life, you have more intimate detail as to what this video will be about, or what this video might be about. Basically my experience. If you guys can see by the title of the video, this is basically my first Mother's Day without my mom. And so I'm gonna kind of get into my story, get into what made me want to make this video, and hopefully there are people out there that are currently, as we're approaching Mother's Day, you know, currently kind of just looking for someone with a relatable experience. You know, losing a parent is something that a lot of us will face, and the way that my experience kind of came about was kind of sudden, unexpected, expected but unexpected, and I'll kind of get into that. But again, sorry if I'm looking at my laptop, because I have points that I want to make sure that I'm talking about. So if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. If you're interested in just hearing my story and part of my testimony, and just kind of where or how I would advise or give advice to people who are dealing with grief surrounding the loss of a parent. In my particular story, my mother. So let's see. I feel like this light is blinding me, so when I look at my laptop, I'm like, oh my god, I can't see. So I'll just jump straight into it. Me and my mother had a very close relationship. I was the only child up until about the age of 14. Me and my mom, she was my best friend. She was literally my best friend. She raised me as a single mother, and so you know, that in itself had its own struggles and things like that, but my mom always took care of me in the best way that she could. She was always there for me. You know, though there were times where, just being an only child, I experienced a lot of things alone, and that's a whole other story. But overall, I will say, you know, my mom, she did the absolute best. And at the age of 14, I was blessed with a sister. So I currently have a sister who is turning 19 this year. I'll be turning 33 this year. So my mother's health, so after she gave birth to my sister, she was 38 years old, And shortly after she gave birth to my sister, her kidneys started to go bad. And so from there, she ended up going into kidney failure and having to go on dialysis. So she was on dialysis from about 2009 up until her passing, which was last year, August of 2023. So in the process, or in the mix of dealing with dialysis, my mom had a lot of health issues, to be really honest. And it's kind of hard to really say where they stemmed from, but I personally have witnessed, my mom going through a high risk pregnancy, and because of that, it was a lot of stress on her body. And at the time, we were also like, didn't really have a stable place to live. My grandpa was sick at the time. My grandma had already passed away. God rest in peace, their souls. And so it was just a lot going on during this time. I was like going into high school. And so after she gave birth, she went on to dialysis because she had renal kidney failure. From there, things were different, of course, but they were manageable. Over the years, I don't want to make this video too long-winded, so I just kind of want to get to the point. But over the years, she developed other health issues. She ended up having high blood pressure. She ended up having breast cancer, so she had a mastectomy. She had a stroke at one point. Scoliosis. She dealt with anxiety and depression. And she had like gallbladder issues. Like there was just a lot of things going on with her over the years. So just to kind of like kind of coming, or I guess I can kind of share, like, because in the midst of all this, I was her caregiver pretty much. So I was being paid to take care of her, to make sure that, she went to her doctor's appointments and took her medicine. I cooked for her, cleaned for her, did all the things that a caregiver would do, because it was just me, her, and my sister. So me being the oldest, having took on that responsibility. And so I did that for about 15 years. And it was a lot. I will say it was a lot. There were, oh my God, I can't even count how many times that it was just, I felt hopeless, burnt out. I experienced caregiver burnout to an extreme extent. Meanwhile, I was working, providing for my household and, trying to live a somewhat regular life, despite having to deal with those challenges. And it was a lot. I will say it was a lot. I want to say particularly after COVID, that's when maybe like a year or two into COVID, that's when I kind of realized or kind of noticed that, my mom was going to the hospital more often. I mean, like just about like every week, every other week. She was going to the hospital, just being in a lot of pain. Instances where her shunt in her arm, where she would get her dialysis from, would bleed, it would be infected. It was just a lot of things that were kind of starting to happen back to back. And so throughout that time, she developed a hernia. And I want to say this was maybe like 2022, or maybe even 2021, somewhere around there, she developed this hernia. And it was excruciating for her. I mean, I can't even imagine the pain that she felt, but I knew it from the outside looking in because I was her caregiver. So when she was in pain, I would have to take her to the hospital, or we would call 911. You know, it was just so much that she went through. And my mom was only 55 years old. And so, which interestingly enough is the same age that my grandma passed, 55. So yeah, there was just a lot that she went through with her body. And, you know, this hernia was really, I mean, this was like something that was like constant pain, on and off, but constant pain. But to the point where, you know, she went to the hospital every single time she felt pain, and they would, you know, give her medicine and, you know, monitor her, then send her home. Eventually, it got to the point where she was seeking surgery. Now, one thing that I did forget to mention is that my mom also had heart issues. And so she was wanting to get surgery. So she had to see like a series of doctors basically to get a clearance for her to have surgery. That process took maybe about a year and some change. And then we got to 2023 and she, you know, was finally cleared for the surgery. My mom had the surgery around, I think this was in May, honestly. Yeah, I think it was either April or May she had the surgery, or it might have between April and June. Honestly, like so much has happened in between, like my dates and times might be a little bit off, but somewhere between April and June she ended up having the surgery. And things were going well. She came home. She was experiencing pain, but she just figured, you know, it's from the surgery. I just had surgery, you know, they opened me up. They put a mesh inside of her stomach to basically keep the hernia from reforming. And so, you know, she came home and she just would feel bloated. It was hard for her to kind of use the restroom because she also dealt with like some bowel issues and stuff. So, you know, the recovery started off okay, and then it got to a point where it was just like, I'm in pain again. Like, it's almost as if she didn't have the surgery and she was just in a lot of pain again. So, I want to say this was July, the end of July, one particular Saturday. She just wasn't feeling well at all. I mean, she was in the bathroom like majority of the morning, majority of the day. She was having trouble using the restroom, in severe stomach pain, and she just couldn't take it, to the point where she was like almost like passing out, like just out of it. And so called 911. They came and took her to the hospital. It was the end of July. She was in the hospital. They admitted her, and turns out that she had a bowel obstruction. So in the midst of this bowel obstruction, she had developed blood clots in her legs, blood clots in her arm, I believe. I think there were blood clots in her chest. And pretty much because of this bowel obstruction, she got an infection. And they were in the midst of trying to control the infection. They had her on a bunch of antibiotics and trying different things. And in the meantime, she's still getting dialysis 3 times a week. You know, so they're doing all these different measures to try and, you know, control her blood pressure, control her blood sugar, like control all the things that were kind of going on in the midst of this infection. So August 18th, I'll never forget this day. August 18th, I was at work. Interesting enough, let me just kind of back up a little bit. So the 17th, I believe it was the 17th or the 16th, I had spoke to her. And every time she would go to the hospital, we were always texting, messaging, calling each other, you know, filling each other in, letting each other know what's going on, you know, all of the things. The night before, which is I believe was the 17th, I remember I had texted her like right before I was going to sleep, and was just checking on her just to see how she was doing, you know, tell her that good night and I loved her, etc. And she didn't respond, or she responded once, and then I kept messaging her and she just kind of stopped responding. So I just figured, okay, you know, she's on all this medication, you know, she's sleepy, just doped up, not even, you know, fully coherent at some points, you know, just all the medication and everything. So I'm thinking she's just like, she went to sleep. I'm like, okay. Let her know that I was going to call her the next day, which was a Friday. And so I went to bed. The next day, got up, went, I think I texted her in the morning. She didn't respond. I went to work, and it was about maybe about 2:30ish. I'm at work. At the time, I was working for an after-school program, so it was like our summer program. So I was in the room talking to some kids, just having a conversation. I forgot what we were even talking about, but it was a good conversation. Like, and I would have good conversations with my kids. They were like middle school, high school, so we were able to talk about like real stuff. So we were in one of these real deep conversations, and I had my phone on Do Not Disturb, but I was still allowing phone calls. And so my phone rang, and it was like a kind of like a strange number. And I was just like, okay. I let it go to voicemail. I just figured if it's important, they'll leave a voicemail. So rang once, I didn't answer. It rang again, and it was like shortly after the first time that the number called me, and I was just like, maybe I should answer this. Like, I didn't, it's just something told me like, I should probably answer this. I know I'm not supposed to be on my phone at work, but I should probably answer this. So after the second call, I told my kids, like, give me a sec. I stepped out into the hallway. I still had like vision of them, so I can kind of, I still kept my eyes on them, but I was on the phone. And the call that I got was basically, it was the nurse from the hospital that my mom was at. And she, well, first she had left a voicemail. I don't remember if I listened to the voicemail or if I just automatically called the number back. I might have listened to the voicemail. And I think she just said like, hi, this is, you know, so-and-so from the hospital. We're calling in regards to your mom. If you can give us a call back, blah, blah, blah. So I think that was the case. And then I called and got in touch with the nurse that had left the message. And honestly, right then and there, something in my spirit just told me like something is wrong. Like something is not right. Like I just felt like something was not right. So she proceeds to tell me that my mother had went into cardiac arrest, and that the doctors and the team were trying to basically revive her. They said that she had been found unresponsive for about, I want to say 15 minutes or so. So they were actively in the process of trying to get her back. Instantly, like, my heart dropped. My heart completely dropped. And in that moment, I told myself, like, if this is it, like, if this is the moment where my mom has to go, strange enough, I was willing to accept it. But it was still like, no, this can't be real. Like, this can't be happening. Like, I was just talking to her the day before. Like, there was no way that this was, it just didn't feel real. It just didn't feel real, to be real honest. And so I panicked. I went back into my classroom. I just gathered my stuff. I didn't say too much. I just told my kids I have to go. I was like, I'm sorry, I have to go. I have to go. putting my things in my backpack. I'm shaky, I'm nervous, I'm trying not to cry. And it was just, and the other kids, they didn't really know what was going on. They kind of just seen me, some of them seen me pack up and leave. Some of them really weren't even paying attention. But, I was just like, I have to go. I run to my manager's office and I tell her, I got a call that my mother went into cardiac arrest. I need to go to the hospital right now. And God bless her, because I think the panic that was on my face when she heard me say that, she automatically was like, do you want me to drive you? She's like, do you want me to drive you there? And I was just like, no, I didn't want to inconvenience her, because she had a whole after school program to run. I didn't want to inconvenience her. So I told her, like, no. I was like, I'm okay, I'm gonna drive. She's like, are you sure? I was sure, but I also just was all over the place. And but I was just like, my whole focus was like, I need to get to the hospital as soon as I can. Just get there, because at this moment I'm thinking, like, okay, they're trying to bring her back, like, what if this is it? Like, what if this is it? This very moment, what if this is it? And so I'm sorry, I didn't think I was gonna cry. I didn't think I was gonna cry. But I hopped in my car. I went straight down to the hospital. In the meantime, I'm calling people. I don't remember who I called first, but I know I called one of my best friends. She didn't answer. And then I called one of my other best friends, and she answered. I called my sister. I called my dad. And basically, I told him, like, hey, I got a call that my mom is, was unresponsive and they're trying to bring her back. So, I'm on the phone with my best friend. I just remember driving and just telling my best friend, like, no, like, this can't be it. I remember just telling her, like, no, like, I was like, I'm scared, I'm so scared, like, and I'm speeding, like, I'm driving safe, but I'm trying to get there as fast as I can, like, so I just needed to be there. I just needed to know, like, what was going on. I needed to see her. I needed to be in that room. Like, I needed to, and so I was just so scared. I don't think I had ever been that scared in my life. But I get to the hospital, and basically, when I got there, they were still working on her, so I wasn't able to see her right away. When they finally did get her stable, I went back to see her, and she had the tubes and all of the stuff hooked up to her. In the meantime, people started showing up to the hospital to support me, and to see what was going on. While I was there at the hospital, in the room, it was me, my sister, and my dad. We have two separate dads. So me, my sister, and my dad were in the back. We were talking to the doctors and the nurses, and out of nowhere, she coded. Like, when we were back there, like, literally back there with her, she coded. And it was so subtle in the way that the doctors kind of went about it. I almost didn't realize what was happening, but she coded, and I just seen a nurse go over to her, and people just kind of start going over to her. They lifted her up. They put this board, like, behind her or underneath her back, and then I just seen the nurse, doing CPR. And I remember just standing there. I remember just standing there with my dad and my sister, just praying out. Like, I had my eyes directly on her and the team, and you know, I couldn't really see like her face, but I could just see the woman pumping hard, hard, hard. And I was just standing there praying, like, come on, mom, come on, mom, come on, mom, come on, mommy, come on, mommy, you can do it. Come on, mom. This is not it. This is not it. This is not the end. This is not the end. You got this. Come on, mommy. Come on, mommy. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. Like, you got this. Come on, mom. Pull through, pull through, pull through. I'm saying all these things. I don't even know if I was saying it out loud or just in my head or both. But I'm saying these things, and again, I thought that was it. I thought that was it. I thought that was gonna be a witness to her demise right then and there, but they were able to bring her back again. And I'll never forget one of the nurses telling me, she was like, oh, you know, she might not make it through the night, because this was like the second or third time that she coded. I remember her saying that to me, but I just remember thinking, like, is this really what she's supposed to be saying to me right now? Like, it didn't feel like there was no faith or hope in her voice, in the way that she came off towards me. But deep down inside, I was like, no. They brought her back a few times. She's still here. She's still fighting. She's still hanging on. She's gonna make it through the night. She has to make it through the night. And so she did. This was August 18th. Over the next 2 weeks, things were really fickle, in a sense of things were just kind of going haywire, in a sense. You know, they had to keep her on a breathing tube, hooked up to the heart monitor, and doing dialysis at some point still, and you know, basically taking all the measures to keep her alive. I remember speaking to someone, and basically they were saying, you know, after a certain point of being intubated, depending on the progress or lack of progress, you know, I would have to decide, like, okay, what do I want to do? You know, they would see if she was able to breathe on her own. If she's not able to breathe on her own, the option would have been to have a trach put in her neck. And because she had already had the bowel obstruction, they actually had to give her an ostomy bag. So she was having that, and you know, she wasn't producing much through the ostomy bag. And so meanwhile, this infection still in her body, and it ended up being sepsis, pretty much. And so throughout those 2 weeks, you know, they're still fighting the infection, and you know, still trying to stabilize her and keep her comfortable and whatnot. I want to say the week that she passed, earlier in that week, it seemed like things had gotten better, which is an interesting phenomena, because I've heard of this and I've witnessed it maybe like once or twice with family or friends, family members, in a sense of, you know, they say you get better like when you're in kind of like the last phase of your life. It may seem like things get better or you get better, but and then there's kind of like that quick decline. And so I remember that week, it was a Monday, I went to go see her in the hospital. I had been seeing her throughout the weeks, back and forth up into the hospital. And I remember that Monday, she was kind of like up, like awake. She wasn't able to speak. She still had the breathing tube in her mouth, but she was able to like nod, shake her head, stuff like that. So I remember communicating with her and or trying to communicate with her, and I had a plan with the nurse to get her a communication board so that way when I come back the next day, I can help her try to spell out certain things or responses to to questions I'm asking, etc. Um, I remember that day asking her if she was in any pain, and she nodded her head. I think I remember. I think I asked her like where, and she kind of like, was pointing to her back area, and I was just like, okay. I FaceTimed my sister, and she was, on FaceTime with my mom, and my mom, like, she gave her like a thumbs up in the midst of them talking. She just kind of randomly gave her like a thumbs up. And I feel like that was my mom telling her, like, don't worry, don't worry. Like, everything's going to be good. Like, everything's going to be okay. And so, yeah, they got off FaceTime. Before I left that night, I was holding her hand, and I remember telling her, like, I love you. I was like, if you love me, squeeze my hand. And I think it took her like a little minute. I was like, if you love me, squeeze my hand. And she squeezed my hand. And I was just like, okay. And then I left. I left that night. I want to say it was the next day or the next few days, I ended up getting a call. Well, I was getting updates in the process, but then it got to a point where they were like, okay, we think we are able to take her off the breathing machine. So I'm like, cool, like things are getting better, like, progress, what I'm thinking. And so that was the plan. But then they were examining her, and they noticed that her stomach was really really bloated and just like kind of hard, stiff. And pretty much they had said that because of the infection and having the bowel obstruction and getting the infection from the bowel obstruction, pretty much her internal organs, her intestines had shut down. They pretty much had already got to a point where they shut down. And once your intestines shut down, it's not long after that the rest of your body is going to shut down. So they told me that, and it was tough, even though like, I had this hope that, and because I was seeing signs that she was getting better, in my mind, I thought like, okay, maybe she's going to pull through. But in the back of my mind, knowing like, okay, she has this infection, she has, the ostomy bag, and, just all of these different things, all of the combination of all of her health issues, were kind of just at the forefront. And eventually it got to that point where it was just like, okay, we just want to keep her comfortable for as long as it, as long as she rides it out, we're going to just keep her comfortable. So she stayed sedated for a majority of the time after that. And then August 30th, I got the call. Like, I remember I was already up at the hospital that day, but then I came home, and then I was getting ready to go to bed, literally in bed, getting ready to go to sleep. I got a call basically saying that I needed to come up there because her heart rate was low, really low, and it was kind of getting to that point where she can pass at any time. So I remember zoomed back up to the hospital, and that was like maybe 10, 11 something. Was there for a few hours, and I remember the nurse or the doctors asking like, what did we want to do? They asked if we wanted to remove the tubes and all of the things and just kind of let her go, like right then and there, or to just kind of wait it out and just kind of let her go on her own without unplugging her, without doing any of that. So I remember that night, me and my sister, we sat in the room with her and we kind of talked amongst the three of us, you know, even though she may or may not have been able to hear us. I'm not too sure, but you know, I pretty much asked my sister, like, what does she want to do? And I kind of left it up to her. Not necessarily left it up to her, but I wanted to do whatever she wanted to do, you know. So if she wanted to unplug her right then and there, well, that's what we would have done. If she wanted to wait, we was gonna wait it out. So she decided to just kind of let her wait it out, don't unplug anything, just kind of naturally go. And we had decided on that for sure while right there with my mom, you know. So I remember leaving the room for a little bit. I came back in the room. It was like 1 something. And I had family and, you know, people in the room with me, and we're all kind of just watching the monitor. And I remember her heart rate was jumping from high to low, high to low, high to low, high to low. Like it was fluctuating so much. And I'm just like, I was like, why is this happening? Like, and I don't know who told me or if someone even told me, but they were like, this is pretty much a sign that, you know, the end is coming. So 106 was her timed call of death, or time of death. And I just remember feeling just kind of stuck, you know, like I had accepted it, but it still just didn't feel real. It still did not feel real to me at all. You know, having taken care of my mother for 15 plus years, and you know, no one prepares you for this type of stuff. Like, no one prepares you for this. It's no way to be prepared for this. And so yeah, 106 a.m. August 31st 2023, my mom passed. And it's been such a journey since then. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes to try to see what I wanted to talk about next. But yeah, so pretty much because I was my mother's caregiver, and even though I had another job, I had quit that job that day on August 18th when I got that call. I already had plans to quit just because I was looking for another job. But once I got that call, I for sure, that was my last day of working there. And I full-time dedicated to taking care of her up until the day that she passed. Because I was getting paid to be her caregiver as well, I pretty much lost all of my income after that. And, you know, in the process, I got on unemployment and still on unemployment to this day. But just, it's just really been a struggle, y'all. It's really been a struggle. And by the grace of God, I have been able to still provide for my household. You know, I have a great roommate that helps me a lot and has always been there for me as like my very best friend. And my sister, you know, she's been here to support. And then her family, my family, me, her dad's side, and like our mom's side, and then my dad. You know, there's been people that have been here supporting us for sure. Not only did it affect me financially, but in the process, which is it kind of already been an ongoing thing, I was going through my own health issues. And so it seems that after my mom passed, my health issues got worse. And even to this day, I'm still working through a lot of my health issues. But it was a combination of grief. It was a combination of, not just losing my mom, but losing my stability, losing such a big part of me that has been present in my life for so long. It was just a loss on a lot of fronts. And the series of first kind of like, because my mom passed at the end of August, we still had all of the holidays to kind of the first round of holidays to get through. So there was Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, my mom's birthday. We experienced all of those things. Me and my sister, we experienced all of those things within the first 4 months of her passing. And so that was wild to me because, I've more so heard stories of people having kind of like a full year and then experiencing the first year of, Christmas and Thanksgiving and all the other holidays and stuff. Fast forward to now with Mother's Day being literally right around the corner. This is the first Mother's Day that I will be experiencing without her. And I don't feel as down as I did. The first couple months, of course, were really tough. And even then, even now, I still have moments where I'm just like, I shut down, or I just get really emotional, or I have kind of like crying spells and stuff like that. Still experiencing a lot of the waves through this grief. But I wanted to kind of end this video with what has been helping me get through this. And one of the things that has been helping me a great deal is I started going back to church. I hadn't been in church for a while. My faith had wavered throughout the years prior. And so, I dibbled and dabbled in a lot of other things before returning back to my faith in God, in Jesus Christ. And so I started going back to church. That has been really helpful for me, just to be surrounded by a community and to be surrounded by people that are good people and just want to love on you, and I felt like I needed that, and I still need that to this day. So church has been a big help. I had been in therapy for years now, so that has also been another help navigating through this. Another one of the things I will say is taking time away from social media. For a while, I kind of battled with it because I would kind of get to those points where I want to express how I'm feeling or express, just some thoughts or whatever. And I found myself searching for that validation, searching for that comfort, searching for that reassurance through social media. And it got to the point where I was like driving myself crazy because it just felt like I wasn't being heard. Or it felt like I was in such victimhood that I felt that my energy was not like helpful to other people. Like I didn't want to be the one bringing people down because I was grieving. Or I didn't want to be the one on social media always sad or, stuff like that. And so, I would try to keep a persona of like, I'm okay. But it was just getting to the point where I was like, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I needed to find a safer, more beneficial outlet than turning to social media and trying to, get reassurance from people in that way. So being off of social media has helped. because it's allowed me to just feel my feelings, feel everything, and to not be so hard on myself. In the process of that, journaling has helped a lot too. So being able to just write down, I mean, it's not like I didn't journal before, but really having like serious, raw, vulnerable conversations written down and just allowed with me, myself, and God has been really helpful. And it's helped me to just kind of welcome all of the feelings that come with this whole grief thing. You know, the ups and the downs, the guilt, you know, the sadness, the emptiness, the longing, and then also the freedom, also the reassurance that I know that she is no longer suffering and she's no longer in pain, you know, and she's no longer dealing with and experiencing any of the things that she experienced and dealt with on this earth in her earthly body. And so one thing that I do is I still have conversations with her as if she's still here. And that's one thing that kind of helps me to get through this stuff, because I still value her wisdom and her opinions, and you know, I still hear her voice in my head all the time. So it's like I know she's still here with me, you know. We had my mother cremated, and so me and my sister have necklaces with her ashes in it. So this is one kind of reminder that she's always with me, because I never take this off. And one other thing that I will say, that hopefully can help some of you out there that are dealing with grief, in particular around losing a parent, and with Mother's Day coming up, if it is a mother that you've lost. One, I just want to send my love, my deepest love to you all, because it is nothing like losing a parent. It's not something that you necessarily ever recover from. You just kind of learn to live with it. And I've been through so much in between then that it is only it is only by the grace of God that I am still here, that I am still able to live my life and know that the burdens that I face will not always be burdens, and that things will get lighter and things will get better. You just have to trust and have faith. Honestly, it's really hard to go through something like this, I can only imagine, and to not have any sort of faith in your life, or any kind of like basis of knowing that we are here for a reason. There is a higher purpose, there is a higher calling to our name, and that everything on this earth happens for a reason. You know, and that we are resilient enough to make it through times like this, you know. I honestly refer to this type of grief and losing my mom. I've begun to refer to it as a superpower, because it really does feel like a superpower. Like, it really feels like I done went through this. I lost my best friend of all my life. You know, if I went through that, I can definitely get through anything else. Like, there's nothing that phases me anymore. Like, I don't have any fears of anything. Like, I know that anything and everything that I face, I can get through if I've gotten through this and continue to get through this. So, I hope my testimony helps somebody out there. I hope hope y'all heard me the whole time through this video. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. And I might stick around and start making more videos, you know, in regards to continuing to cope with grief, and maybe even just get into a little bit more of who I am, and just, I hope to just inspire somebody out there, you know, who's going through some of these things. And so if you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're interested in any more of my content. I hope and pray that, again, if you are experiencing or have experienced the loss of a parent, put some comments down in the video, you know, share your experience with me and share your experience with other people. And, you know, we can build a little community here, because I really do just want to be an example to show people that, like, resilience is possible. Joy, finding joy again is possible. And being able to continue life with such a profound loss is possible. So thank you guys again for watching this video. Go ahead and subscribe if you like, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.